Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
Good morning, 7:37 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, waking up to news this morning that a U.S. ambassador has been killed on an attack on the embassy in Benghazi in Libya. And there was also an attack at the embassy in Cairo yesterday. Yeah. And it all seems to be because of a, quote, anti-Muslim movie that was put up on YouTube. And the reaction has been to attack Americans in Benghazi and in Cairo. KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst, joins us now. What do you make of all this so far, KT?
Well, you've got to start asking who lost the Arab Spring. You know, the one thing we never saw during all those Arab Spring demonstrations 18 months ago was no one burned the American flag. And that was a first in the Arab world. And now we've got a U.S. diplomat killed in Libya, attacks on U.S. embassies in Libya and in Egypt, countries in which the U.S. played an instrumental, fundamental role in overthrowing those dictators. And now the mobs are attacking us and killing Americans. This is like Tehran 1978 all over again. And what I've got to conclude is that we always should remember when there's a strong dictator, it's usually because he's keeping the lid on the warring factions. And when you get rid of that dictator, especially if it's quickly and violently, that lid comes off and the different factions start fighting each other. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, it took a while for the administration to respond, and in fact, only a few moments ago did the president confirm that we lost our U.S. ambassador in Libya.
Tragedy.
So,
and this is the same man who was instrumental in giving the Libyans their freedom, in the Libyan war, and in the overthrow of Gaddafi.
I can understand why it would take the president so long to respond to these things. After all, he's a busy man, not attending his daily security intelligence briefings.
Might be time to start going to those.
Maybe it'd be a good thing. All right, so what does the U.S. do in a situation like this? I mean, how can we respond to this outrage?
Well, just, again, go back and look at 1978 when the Iranians, we were instrumental in getting rid of the Shah of Iran in Iran and helping the rebels take over. And the rebels were soon replaced by the mullahs. And the mullahs then grabbed American diplomats and held them hostage for nearly a year. What did President Carter do at the time? He tried to negotiate, he tried to make nice, and nothing worked. They laughed at us. And now the minute Ronald Reagan came in, the Iranians realized different story, and they released the American diplomats that they had held hostage. I think it's really important right now that the United States doesn't try to make nice. Make it clear to these countries that if they want U.S. aid to continue, and Egypt needs it to feed its people, then first and foremost, they need to protect Americans in these countries. And second, they need to work to create the institutions in their societies that lead to democracy, a free press, independent judiciary, civilian control in the military. In Egypt, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood President Morsi, he's doing just the opposite. He's getting rid of the free press. He's gotten rid of independent voices in the military. He's gotten rid of other political parties. He's not protecting the rights of minorities in Egypt. He's trying to make himself Mubarak, but even worse.
Well, I'm sure they can protect the Americans, especially an embassy in Egypt, but can they even do that in Libya? And why wasn't there more of an American armored force at this embassy in Benghazi?
Well, this is something you got to ask the Libyans. Can they protect America? Can they make sure, the one thing they ought to make sure in every one of these countries, that the Americans are protected. And if they can't do that, then it really is law of the jungle and chaos. And you cannot tell me that the Egyptians or the Libyans have no control over mobs of people. It can't continue, that they can't protect Americans in these countries. Maybe it's hard for them to do it, but they are the only ones who have the intelligence and the police force on the ground to know these things are coming.
I'm looking at the pictures this morning that are coming out about this attack in Libya against our ambassador and the car that was hit. And it just initially appears to me that this was not an armored vehicle of any kind. I mean, even most of our diplomats in sensitive areas around the world are put in armored cars. Are they not?
Well, you don't know. The details of this have not yet come out. Was he fleeing the embassy? Did he grab whatever car was there? Was that his car? Was it an accident in the sense that there was violence there and his car got swept up in it? Was he targeted by Al-Qaeda? in Libya? Was he targeted by jihad? You just don't know, and I think it would be...
No, we still don't even know if he was actually in the car. I mean, it's possible there was another American who died of smoke inhalation, so they're not exactly sure where he was when he was killed.
Yeah.
All right, but here it seems from the reporting that I've heard this morning that this all stems from this movie,
Okay, now here, that's the thing, that there's no excuse. Okay,
I know that, but what I'm saying is that if this is true,
yes,
I mean, you just throw up your hands and say, how in the world can we ever have some kind of normal relationship with anyone in the Middle East if there's a movie that may say bad things about the Prophet Muhammad?
It's not even a movie. It's like a video that 12 people in the United States have seen that's on the Internet that's apparently very badly done. It's just like a home video that makes fun of the Prophet. Now, we're not, who's responsible for that? That's just, that's some crazy guy who did that, and that crazy pastor in Florida who advocates it. If something like that, if everything in these countries is so inflamed, so dry tinder, that a little tiny spark like that sets it off, then we've got, then we really have to start asking, how smart were we to pull the rug out from under Mubarak? How smart were we to have a Libyan war? How smart were we to sort of promote revolution and overthrow of dictators everywhere with no idea of what was going to happen?
Exactly how it's going to work out.
I mean, it's the same mistake the Bush administration made in Iraq.
All right, so should the embassy folks in Egypt have apologized, as they did in a statement, for this video?
Should the Egyptian people or the American?
No, the U.S. Embassy in Egypt apparently
put
issued
out
a statement sort of apologizing for the fact that this video got produced.
This is Jimmy Carter all over again.
Yeah.
You don't apologize. You go to the Egyptian people and say, look, Morsi, you're getting billions of dollars of our aid. You don't have enough money to feed your people or have fuel oil or transportation fuels or heating oil for your people until the end of the year. You're running out of money. We're supporting you. We helped put you in office. You've lied to us every single time. You said that the Muslim Brotherhood candidates wouldn't run for the majority of seats in Parliament. You lied. You actually ran them and they won. You said a Muslim Brotherhood candidate wasn't going to run for president. You lied. Muslim Brotherhood candidate ran, won. You said that you were going to leave the Egyptian military independent. You lied. You fired all of the Egyptian military leaders and you put your own Muslim Brotherhood military leaders in place. You've gone to your independent press and you've said you've intimidated them. The state-owned press you've turned into a Muslim Brotherhood. You've taken the governors of the states of the provinces in Egypt and you've told them that they're Muslim Brotherhood people now and they can distribute the vouchers to their own people and to their own supporters, only Muslim Brotherhood. You're not protecting the right of Christians. What is the United States getting?
Nothing.
For all the aid we're giving?
Well, what do we do about it? I mean, do we have any action that we can take that changes things?
I think we've got a checkbook.
Yeah, and that's it.
And I think we can withdraw those checks.
Or perhaps write some checks to some people in the military in Egypt and try and get them to overthrow the Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, you don't want to get in the middle of somebody else's civil war. I mean, I keep looking at the example of Pakistan, right? We give them $2 billion a year, and we said, you're in the finding bin Laden business. Here's $2 billion a year. You go find bin Laden. What did they do? They pocketed the money.
Yep.
They didn't want to find bin Laden. That would have cut off the checkbook. And so now we've got a situation where the man who helped us get bin Laden, the doctor, is in jail, and he says that the Pakistanis have concluded the United States is enemy number one. $23 billion later, and we're enemy number one.
All right. KT McFarland, it's great to have you on. As always, we appreciate your insights.
Thank you.